Howdy folks, and welcome back to Healthy Humor. I'm your host, Doc MB, and I'd like to start today by just saying a quick thank you to everyone who has stayed with me through the first 2 seasons, and now as we are starting the 3rd season of the show. It really means a lot to me, and if you're ever curious what you can do, just remember you can always follow, subscribe, or send me ideas for content that you'd like me to create. Topics you'd like me to cover, guests you'd like me to interview, anything of that kind, just let me know. And I'd love to bring on your favorite healthcare provider or researcher, or cover a topic that's close to your heart. I would also like to take this opportunity to kind of refresh everyone on what this show is all about. So, Healthy Humor is a show dedicated to spreading health education. Sometimes that health education comes in the form of helpful tips and tricks for traveling safely or taking care of yourself. Other times it comes in the form of teaching about different types of healthcare providers that exist, different research outcomes that are coming out, and what they really mean and how they apply to your life or maybe the life of some future practitioners. But no matter who you are, we all live in a system that can be really hard to understand whether we work in healthcare or we don't work in healthcare. And my goal is always to, hopefully, with a couple laughs along the way, provide the most up-to-date information and skills to navigate our system. Whether you're a parent or an educator or a student or none of the above, really, you're probably still aware of what time of year it is. We are in that magical time of year where sharpened pencils meet freshly shared germs. So I thought we could talk about that today. Whether you're involved in a school, either again as a parent, an educator, or a student, you know that this time of year is full of germs, full of spreading germs, and getting sick. So, there are a lot of myths out there around ways that we can boost our immune system, right? And I'm not saying that any of them are wrong or right, but there are some things that we know aren't myths. So I'd like to go over those, and these are my 5 tips for surviving the beginning of the school year bug that seems to always plague us. It should be no mystery why we get sick at this time of year, right? We go from having free time in the summer being spread apart to you're in a classroom, you're next to 20 or 30 other people shoulder to shoulder spreading those germs. Your immunity has gone down over the summer because you haven't been exposed to as much, and then boom bang, you're in a busy classroom and you've got 20 to 30 germ machines around you. You might be one of the germ machines, you might be teaching the germ machines, you might have a germ machine that's going to school, you might have a coworker that has multiple germ machines going to school. Who knows? But the point is, these tips and tricks will help you. Tip number 1, washing your hands, right? Whether you're following the 20-second rule, whether you sing the ABCs, or some other song while you wash your hands, keeping your hands clean, using hand sanitizer as well, which may not always get, any larger visible things like actual mess, but it will do just as good of a job as getting the germs off your hands. So keeping your hands clean, that is tip number 1, making sure that, we're washing our hands as frequently as we should be, before and after meals, before and after playtime, first thing when we get home from school on a busy day, things like that. Tip number 2, I know we love to make fun of the big dumb cups that we all carry around or the water bottles that we have. I know I have several myself, but this is a great time of year to keep those handy, keep those on you and, filtered clean water inside of them. But staying hydrated is one of our body's biggest defenses to illness, and it allows us to function properly. Which also brings me to tip number 3, which is getting proper sleep. Our body can do so much and it is so powerful, but when we are not taking care of it properly, and in this case not getting enough sleep, which oftentimes does happen at the beginning of the school year, we're not going to have the energy that we need to heal ourselves or to ward off any germs or bacteria that are getting, past any of our defenses. So, getting the proper sleep, which varies for adults and for youth. Kids need a little more than the average adult. They need more, about 9 to 12 hours, whereas the average adult only needs to aim for about 7 to 9 hours. Okay. This one's a little silly because most of us think we know how to cough, right? But how many of you are out there coughing into your hand or coughing into your elbow, but this is how you do it? Does that look like I caught anything? Probably not, right? So let's teach our kids and maybe refresh it for ourselves that when we cough, we need to arm up, grab our elbow, bring it across, and cough into the elbow. Or you could always, like this, maybe it's not as good at catching because, this is not one of our handy dandy masks, but it will still catch more than if I just into the air, right? So remember, catching your cough, whatever that means, and preferably we're not catching it with our hands, right? Or if we are, we're immediately sanitizing or washing our hands so we're not spreading those germs anywhere. And my fifth tip or trick, it's a little tricky because it's not so much for ourselves as it is for other people, right? But knowing when to stay home. So when that fever goes above 100 degrees, or it's a super wet, mucusy cough, or you look at your kid or at yourself in the mirror and you're questioning, like, are you alive, right? Like, how sick are you right now? You look horrible. You look like you got run over by the school bus. Yeah, you probably should not be going to school if that's how you're feeling or looking, or not be going to work if that's how you're feeling or looking, right? Because one, you're not good enough. You're not healthy enough to be out and about. You need to rest and heal. So that part is protecting yourself. But the other part of this last trick or tip is you're protecting other people. You're not out there spreading everything that you have that you unfortunately got from somewhere else. Okay, to recap, our 5 tricks for staying happy and healthy when we get back to school season going on. We're going to stay hydrated. We're going to get enough sleep. We're going to wash our hands. We're going to cover up our cough. And absolutely, we are going to know when to stay home. If you are ever confused on when to stay home, remember, if the temp's too high, you look like you got run over by a school bus, and or you can't control what's going out on either end, you need to stay home. And just remember, back to school doesn't mean you need to have back-to-back colds or back-to-back sick days. But we can do things to prevent them, and we can do things to keep them as short as possible. So remember these tricks and tips whenever you're going back to school this fall, and I hope that you have a happy and healthy day.